He knows he won't get his license until everything's approved.
Good evening. It is Tuesday, December 3rd, 2019 at 7 o'clock p.m. I'd like to call to order the Town of Sutton Board of Selectmen's meeting. And if we could, if you would join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. As always, we start with public forum. Public forum is limited to 5 minutes per topic. Discussions or comments about town employees or agency members shall be avoided so as not to violate individuals' rights. Is there anyone here for public forum? Seeing none, we'll move on to our minutes from the November 19th, 2019 meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes from our November 19, 2019 meeting as presented.
Second.
That's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Up next is a ratification of a new police officer. Jim?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tonight, I'm asking the Board of Selectmen's approval for the full-time police officer, Matthew Pepin. Matthew's a former dispatcher for the town of Douglas. We appointed him as a student officer so we could attend the academy. He has subsequently graduated the academy, and we're ready to appoint him to a full-time officer position.
Excellent. Chief?
Good evening. As Jim stated, he's been with us since probably the middle of June. Started the Cape Cod Municipal Academy in July and graduated on November 22nd. During that time frame, we made several inquiries of the academy staff down there, and were pleasantly informed each time that he's probably was within the top 10 or 15 candidates in the class as far as academics and PT were concerned. So we're happy to have him on board.
Would you like to come up and say a few words? I know, we don't need to put you on the spot, so you don't need a speech.
I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure to get through where I am today, taking me on through the academy. It's been a great experience, and I'm just happy to be where I am today.
Excellent. And I suspect the board would like to say a couple of words. Jesse?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Matt or Matthew, which you prefer?
Matt's fine.
Matt, all right, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Welcome to Sutton.
Thank you.
So obviously you're not coming far. You're a former dispatcher from Douglas. You excited about hitting the roads?
I am.
I know there's a couple of fine offices that traveled in with you. Listen to them. We got a lot of officers in the department, in particular, that were born and raised in town, so they'll help you find your way around town if you don't know already. Obviously, I think you know also, although you can't tell because of the snow, but this is a town that definitely loves the police department. We have a new police department. You know, you're coming in at a great time, so hopefully you learn a lot, hopefully you serve the community very well, and hopefully a lot of people get to know you as soon as possible.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Wendy?
Thank you. Hopefully that they don't get to know you in certain types of ways, but.
In a positive way.
I just want to welcome you to Sutton. Are you going to remain in Douglas?
For the time being, put
Okay,
away
great.
some money for now.
Yeah. Well, we'd love to watch you make the transition, and just welcome to Sutton.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Jonathan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome aboard. Welcome to Sutton. I know you've been here for a little while already, you know, and I'm excited to see you've taken this full-time position with us, and excited for you to serve the town, and thank you very much. Welcome.
Thank you.
Jeff?
Matt, welcome to Sutton. We've had a few of these ratifications over the last few weeks, so it's a good group that you're joining. Like Jesse said, there's a lot of support from the people in town, so welcome and good luck and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I think I can swear him in at this point, so. Matthew Pepin, do you solemnly swear that you will faithfully perform the duties incumbent upon you as a police officer in accordance with the bylaws of the town and the laws of the Commonwealth?
I do.
Congratulations. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Chief.
Yeah, the photographer wasn't here tonight.
You taking pictures? You sure? You got the floor. Now's the time.
All right, thank you. Welcome and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, would you like me to take care of that first motion?
Please do.
I would like to make a motion to ratify the appointment of Matthew Pepin to the position of full-time Sutton Police Officer.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Thank you for that. Got ahead of myself.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Good
all
luck.
for coming.
That's appropriate.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Okay, next up is a new common vittler's license at Love to Play. Jim?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a common vic license that is pending approval from the Board of Health and all the other, the building commissioner's approval. But he's working hard behind the scenes trying to get the place open, so I would like to have the board approve it pending approval by the Board of Health and the building commissioner, et cetera.
Okay. Would you like to introduce yourself first and then say a few words about what you're doing here?
Sure. My name's Owen Cooper. I was born in Sutton, lived here for 20 years. And yeah, my wife and I, we are opening an indoor play center in Sutton, Galaxy Pass. It's been an exciting process over the past 2 years now. When we started, that was a field, and working with Mike over at Galaxy Development to get the building together, and then of course our build out as well. We're getting close, really close. Just a couple more hurdles to get over. We were trying to get it open before the holidays. We might make it, but you know, a couple other hoops we got to get through. But my wife and I were married about 2 years ago, and kind of from that point, we were just trying to figure out what our future was going to look like. So I've done 5 years at West End Creamery as the GM, worked in family entertainment for quite a while. My wife's a teacher, works with special needs kids, all about the kids, and we have a daughter of our own. So a lot of inspiration from our past and our own family to do an indoor play center. So as we look at opportunities in the area, we weren't looking especially at Sutton in particular, but we're pretty excited that after our research, Sutton, again, my hometown, has come up as what we believe to be the best spot and where we've opted to make the investment. So getting closer. We're serving young kids ages 6 months to 12 years old. That's our target. We feel that there's some areas in Metro West that serve some older kids, or they have more comprehensive places, but ours is focused on those younger kids. And a lot of the studies of the area here indicate that there's a lot of need for this. And so here we are trying to make it happen.
Good. Excellent. So once again, I'd like to open it up to the board. So, Jesse?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Owen, welcome.
Thanks.
Question for you. What type of play is involved in your facility?
So we do climbing structures. We're staying away from trampolines and inflatables. So it's an indoor, we have a large climbing structure, and then we also have areas for different developmental phases. So 0 to 2, 0 to 4, and then the structures kind of go up to about 12 years old. Also have an arcade in there and food and beverage. We do birthday parties, and then other special events will kind of roll out once we get our feet on the ground.
Interesting. So a lot of hands-on activity for the little ones in particular?
Yeah, for sure.
Are you going to have like physical therapy classes or anything like that are going to operate out of your facility?
We're very excited. I mean, obviously, we're not a licensed healthcare, place, but we're very excited to kind of expand our offerings to kind of what the community's looking for. We have a beautiful space. We've got some private rooms as well. And so as those demands come forth, and like I said, we got our feet on the ground with our main operation, we're really excited about kind of expanding and thinking creatively how to best use this space and best serve the community.
Now, when you open up your doors, you're going to be operating like Monday to Friday and maybe available for rentals over the weekend, or?
We're actually a little different angle. We're 7 days a week, open play all the time.
Oh.
So some places are closed on the weekends to do parties exclusively, but we've got 8,500 square feet, so it's a decent size, and we have some party rooms that are separate, but we're not turning anyone away unless we're at capacity.
Oh, I'm very excited for you and your wife, and hopefully you enjoy lots of success because you definitely have a good location.
We think
That's
so.
for sure. And like you said, this is satisfying a need. So I hope you do all the success as possible.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Wendy?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome. Just two quick questions. Is there a standard type of insurance policy that you're required to carry for that type of facility?
Yeah, quite a comprehensive amount of insurance, if you can imagine. Everything from general liability, also insurances, and unfortunately in this world, molestation, even cybersecurity for credit card processing, all of that kind of stuff we carry.
Thank you. And kind of obvious question to me is parental supervision required, or are people going to be dropping their kids off while they go to do their shopping?
Yeah, we're not currently a licensed daycare, so this is an area where a parent or a caregiver would bring the child and stay with them for the duration of their time there. So as we build the place, we think about hospitality, both for the kids, our young guests, but also for the caregivers, and that's why we're trying to do some premium coffees and some fun things to kind of serve them as well, because they will be on site for that.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much, Owen. Welcome back
Appreciate
to the
that.
community.
Thanks. I just live in Northridge, so it's not that far.
Jonathan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Owen, and I welcome your wife as well. I didn't get her name. Did you?
Tony.
Tony? Yes, welcome. I love to see small businesses like you, come into town and take a chance and, bring your skills and your excitement to, bring business to town and offer what you feel is, well received and the research that you've done. So I'm just excited to see your investment in town. So thank you very much.
Sure thing. Thank you.
Jeff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Owen, welcome. Is this the first business you've actually owned and run, or?
Of this caliber, yeah. I've
Yeah.
always been a scrappy guy, so
Yeah.
always had side gigs, but this is definitely the first venture.
And how
of this
many
caliber.
employees will you have?
18 to 20
Wow.
part-timers
Wow.
is what we're expecting.
That's good. Have you hired them all yet, or are you going to be?
In process, very early stages. We have a couple that I brought on board that I've known from the community, but our main team we're still working on.
Do they have to be Cory checked or anything like that?
Mhm.
They do. Okay,
Yeah.
great. I don't have a lot else to add. 6 months to 12 years old seems like a long day for me. I don't know about you guys. But,
Open from 9 to 9 too, so it's a 12-hour long day.
well, good luck with that.
Thank you.
All right.
So this is an application for a license essentially to serve food. So can you tell us a little bit about what you intend to serve?
Sure. Kid-friendly stuff, of course. But like I said earlier, also thinking about the parents. So we're trying to have it's a simple menu. We're not a full-service restaurant here. We're not a sit-down place like that. This is something primarily for our birthday parties and some of those events to be able to feed a bunch of kids, but something that would also satisfy the desires of the adults. So as we fine-tune that menu, it include pizza, chicken tenders, things along those lines, but we're also adding in cold brew coffees and kombucha on tap, things that are going to really reach to our adults as well. Some sandwiches, some wraps, something that's going to have something green in it, a little healthier option as well, of course, will be offered.
But in addition to all the other things you have to do, you have to deal with food safety issues and handling issues and all, so you got to
Sure
train
thing.
yourselves in how to do all of that.
Yep.
So just another complication to the business.
Yep.
And we know that some of the departments in town still have to finish up all of their inspections and that kind of thing, but that will come in due course, so.
Yeah.
Other than that, I just joined my colleagues and, congratulating you on a new business and welcome you to town from the business perspective
Mhm.
and wish you good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate
So-
that.
Yeah, thank you very much, and we'll see you around, I think. With that, I think we also have a motion to approve here.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the common vittler with an expiration date of December 31st, 2020 to Scotty Marie LLC, DBA Love to Play, located at 10B Galaxy Pass, conditional upon receiving all approvals from the Board of Health and occupancy permit from the building commissioner.
Second?
Motion and a second, any other discussion?
He had brochures. Could
Yeah.
you pass those out? Would you mind?
Thank you.
Yeah, please.
To check out our Facebook page for all the
Thank you.
updates.
Oh, and I just have one more question.
Oh, sure.
I know you had confirmed the Cory checks. Is there any sort of accreditation or anything, or licenses that your staff will hold?
CPR, AED, I personally am EMT, and Observe Safe, of course, for the kitchen stuff, something that we'll be rolling out with more of our staff as well. Anti-choking, allergen awareness, I think that about sums it up.
Okay, great.
And is this part of a chain, like are you a franchise, or
This
is
is,
this?
yes, this is it's a pretty young franchise. There's about 20 locations open, US and Canada currently. There's one in New Hampshire, will be the second one in New England.
Okay. And I assume they give you some guidance on how to set these things up and operate them a little bit anyway, so.
It's a pretty loose one. It's not like a Dunkin' Donuts where they're like, here's the system, don't deviate. Where there's a lot more flexibility. But yeah, we have some guidance from above on that.
Awesome. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you, Owen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is a new owner/manager of the Econo Lodge.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tonight we have Baran Patel here, who is looking for an innkeeper's license for the Econo Lodge. And this is Mr. Patel.
If you could introduce yourself and.
Yes, Bhavin Patel, born in India, been in the States for about 20 years, and came to States and been in this hotel industry since that. Basically, my aunt owned a motel in Cape Cod. Was there, did high school in Cape Cod, helped her out with it. Had my own little property in Kentucky, small property, 22 rooms, early 2009 to 2012. Didn't like it, moved back to Massachusetts and been running here.
Okay.
Just been in Sutton for 2 months, so not really very familiar with the area. Just getting used to it. So
Are you living at the property?
I am.
Okay.
I am.
All right. Jesse, if you
Yeah, thank you, Mr.
start
Chairman.
us off.
Bhavin? Bhavin,
Bhavin.
okay, good. Just want to make sure I pronounce it
Yes.
correctly. Welcome to the cold weather, I guess, if
yeah.
you were down south, and that's a
Yeah.
little chillier. Okay, so you mentioned that you would run a smaller operation. Is this your first, no, actually, you already mentioned that as well. How did you discover Econo Lodge? What
It was-
attracted you to it?
So I used to run another property in Natick before this one, and that was a family kind of business. So, but a friend, a friend's friend, his uncle I think used to own this, and then I think he wants to get out of it. So we got an opportunity. He asked me. I said I would love to get into here. So.
Now, in terms of operation, is it just primarily lodging, or are you going to be providing food or anything like that, breakfast or?
So yeah, we're continental breakfast, but mainly lodging. It's very basic breakfast.
Okay.
Bagels, juice, coffee.
Would our license here cover food service as well?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Excellent. The only reason why I ask is because years ago there used to be a restaurant
Yeah.
that operated there,
Yeah,
and,
there
and
is.
and I know there was a lot of happy people that managed to
There
go
is.
there. So any thought in the back of your mind if you're successful?
Maybe depending on the cost of reopening that place. I mean, we are gonna renovate it.
Mhm.
So I think February is our plan to do a full-on renovation in there. See how it goes.
Okay.
Trying to get funds together and then.
And you're still going to operate under the Econo Lodge
No,
name?
we're gonna do the change of names over as well. So we're gonna do Red Roof Inn.
Oh, Red Roof. Okay.
Oh, cool.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Welcome to Sutton.
Thank you.
Wendy, yeah.
Thank you. I really have one question, and it's sort of a sensitive question, but I think it's really important for the public. The Econo Lodge has had a reputation the last few years of bringing on clientele who aren't necessarily going to be staying there for any extended period of time. Where you're going to be residing on the property, what is your intention of oversight and admitting people to rooms and
What
that
do you,
sort of management?
so I will be staying there, but I don't understand what kind of client. I mean,
There's been some discussion in town that some of the people who stay there
okay.
aren't there for a full evening.
Oh, I
May have
see.
some
Okay.
nefarious purpose to be there.
I see. Okay, I got it. That's.
I know it's hard to oversee. but-
Yeah, that is hard to oversee that. But I know what. Okay, I see where you're going with that. Okay. We'll try to manage it as best as we can, but that's hard.
Sure.
That's hard. We'll do our best to
Does the red-
to find out. Say if a customer came in today and if he comes in few times and similar situation happens, then we'll take a step to it.
Does the Red Roof Inn as a franchise have specific requirements with regard to such activity, or no?
No hotel has it. No such franchise.
Okay. All right, thank you. That was my
Yeah.
only question.
Jonathan?
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
One question I have is, you mentioned the renovation. You're gonna renovate the whole entire, all the rooms in the property, or
Yes.
just the restaurant part?
Yes.
of it?
No, just the whole rooms, complete rooms. Restaurant is probably not part of it. We're gonna clean that out, but I don't think we're gonna. At the moment, there's no plan of opening a restaurant or. Yeah, no plan of that.
So you're just gonna bring it more under the label of like Red Roof Inn and the look and feel of
Yeah.
that franchise? Okay. That's all I have for right now. Thank you.
Jeff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Marvin, welcome to Sutton. It's great. I feel good about new management, new blood, new life to the facility. So I'm glad. Actually, even I think the Red Roof Inn, the change to Red Roof Inn from Econo Lodge is probably a positive thing. So
Thank you.
best of luck with it. And
Thank you.
Do you anticipate staying open the whole time during the renovation, or are you
We,
gonna have to?
we will be. We're gonna do phase renovation.
Yeah.
There's like, we have 3 sections of it, so, yeah, we'll be open it.
Yeah.
We're gonna take one side, and then the other side, and the back building, and
And in your efforts ahead of time to kind of vet the business, does it feel like there's plenty of business to keep you busy and running? You know?
so, 2 months that I've been here now, it has been
Yeah.
busy. October was busy, so I'm not quite sure yet.
Yeah.
But it looks busy. Looks like it'll stay afloat.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I would think that, I don't know if I know the history as well as others might, but I think that building was originally sort of associated with a golf course because, you know, they had big
Yeah.
tournaments there every year. And without that, it seemed like it had a more difficult time
Yeah.
kind of.
So at least October was busy. November was not as, but I think it's, as long as we cover there. I mean, I do expect slow months,
Sure.
probably December, January, February, but then hoping back to pickups from March or April when the weather turns, and
Yeah.
hopefully more people come golfing and weddings, and
Yeah, sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
new renovation may bring more business. We'll see.
I think that has to be a good thing, so.
Yeah.
Well, we certainly wish you good luck.
Thank you.
So welcome to town.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You have a motion.
And, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion, but before I do, I think I just want to clarify, the motion being, we're issuing the license to Econo Lodge as opposed to Red Roof Inn, is that
I don't think they've changed the name yet.
I don't think it's official.
It's, yeah.
not official? Okay, great.
That's the name of the business now? Econo
Econo
Lodge.
Lodge is
Yeah.
a business right now.
Okay, then, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the innkeeper's license to Econo Lodge, new manager of record Bhavin Patel, with an expiration of December 31, 2020.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Next up, we have a Medal of Liberty ceremony with Dave Carasius. Welcome, Dave. You know the drill for the record, if you can just introduce yourself.
Dave Carasius, lifelong resident of Sutton and a manager of the Dudley General in Sutton, Legion Post. We're going to have a ceremony. There's a medal, and I'll read what the medal is about. Basically, the Medal of Liberty is awarded in the name of the Governor of Massachusetts as Commander-in-Chief of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, servicemen or women killed in action or who died as a result of wounds received in action. So in any action against an enemy of the United States, in any action with opposing armed force of foreign country in which the armed forces of the United States or have been engaged, while serving with friendly foreign forces engaged in the armed conflict against an opposing armed force in which the United States is not the belligerent party, as a result of an act of any such enemy of opposing armed forces, as a result of an act of any hostile force, after 28th of March, 1973, as a result of an international terrorist attack against the United States or a foreign nation friendly to the United States, after 1973, as a result of military operations while serving outside the territory of the United States as part of a peacekeeping or humanitarian force, after December 1941 by weapon fire while directly engaged in an armed conflict regardless of the weapon caused the wound, and while held as a prisoner of war or while being taken captive. So we did the research, and there's a number of people from Sutton that fall into this category. And it took us a year probably to get, and we don't have all of them, but we do have 8 that we're going to be giving the award to, the medal to. And it actually goes, the award is given to the next of kin who made the ultimate sacrifice. So it's given to, it has to be a blood relative. So we have 8 that are under this category. Troy Strickland, World War II vet, and his niece, Susan Jonas, will be receiving it. John Manichuk, World War II vet. Masha Hendricks, his niece, will be receiving it. Walter Blasky, World War II vet. The Dudley Jenner is going to keep that because he was actually the ward of the state when he was a foster child here in Sutton. He came from an orphanage, but he enlisted while he was here in Sutton. John Dudley, who, of course, the Dudley Jenner is named after, he also perished in World War II. And Joyce Smith, who is a cousin once removed, will be receiving that. Edward Harringer, World War II. Jack Harringer, which is his grandson. And a number of these, you know the memorial coming up Boston Road? You have the crosses. They're honored at that memorial. And we have a couple that from Whitinsville, because Whitinsville does not have an American Legion. They didn't have anyone to actually do the research and come to the plate to do this. So we're going to also add those, which is Robert Diorsi, World War II vet, and William Diorsi, his brother, will be accepting that. And Douglas Henderson, World War II, which James Henderson's nephew. And we have another one from Sutton, which is Dennis Benson, who perished in Vietnam, and Donna LaValle, his sister, is going to be receiving that. So the date is December 19th. I've sent out invitations to all you folks. I'm sure you received them, and I'm starting to receive people who are going to be attending. So I'd like this to be a community event. It's important to recognize these folks, and I mean, they gave the ultimate sacrifice so that we can sit here and have our freedom. So I just wanted to let the public know that that's happening. It's 6 o'clock on December 19th. And do you have any questions about it?
We will, but if you got something else, go
Yeah, I
ahead.
do. I have something else, not about this, but something else I asked if I could mention it.
Sure.
Is that
please.
okay?
Yeah, please.
So every year, we have what we call the Our Family to Yours, and we've been doing it for the last, I think, 7 or 8 years. And we have fundraisers from through December to the end of January, a number of different fundraisers. We just actually had our what we call our boot drive. Normally, it falls at the next day after the Chain of Lights, but because it's the first Sunday in December, it's the week before. So we just had it this Sunday, and we raised $2,300. And I know Jesse was there, and we had a great turnout. We take over the center of town, and anybody who comes through, we asked them for money. We had Santa Claus was there, and we also have number of different things. We have hats, a hat drive. We have, if companies want to donate $25 or more, we have their names at the Legion. They stay up there until the end of January. We, let's see, on December, let's see, what date is that? December 8th, from 9 o'clock to 12, we'll be doing, at Market 32, we'll be collecting food for the Sutton Food Pantry. Last year, we collected a full pickup truck full of food, plus some cash as well. And we're hoping to get 2 this year. So this fund is kind of important. Well, it's important to us, and it's important to the town of Sutton in the way that we kind of work through the Board of Health. Cheryl lets us know people who are in need. We give, of course, the food bank. We give, over the past years, it's been fuel assistance. One time I had to write out a check to National Grid for someone. There's a resident that didn't have housing for a period of time. So we helped pay for housing so that, in fact, I think stayed at Connell Lodge, and I believe one time we had a campground. So it's those things that the town knows that we have it, and it's always there, and we always have enough funds that if something comes up, we can help out. We just gave 10 turkeys to be given out for Thanksgiving. So I just wanted to let the public know that this is going on, and if anybody wants to make any contributions, Dudley General, P.O. Box 403, and everything is, 100% of it goes towards that fund. And it's distributed throughout the year. It's not just at Christmas, but it's distributed throughout the year. So.
Great, thank you very much. Jesse?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dave, fantastic job as always. I'd just like to, of course, take a moment just to recognize that admittedly the Post does a lot for the community, but you also do a lot for the Post. So, at least from my bottom of my heart, thank you for all you do.
You as well.
This was a wonderful update. Definitely appreciated. I already have the Medal of Liberty ceremony in my phone. And you're right, we were out on the common. Don't forget there was a bunch of fun elves out there as well.
Yes.
In addition to Santa. So obviously, thank you to everyone who drove through the intersection, because $2,300, that's something. A buck.
That's the biggest year.
Yeah, $1, quarters, change, whatever people had, they were giving. So it was just a wonderful time. So again, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for being here, as always. Something that really stood out to me when you were reading the names of the number of World War II veterans
Mhm.
who are no longer here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a rich part of our history that we've lost.
Mhm.
So to see you continue to honor it is really wonderful, and I thank you for that.
Thank you. Jonathan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dave, just want to thank you for putting this together to honor, these men and women who sacrificed and, for this country. I'm really looking forward to attending and just personally recognizing myself as well, the sacrifice that they made for us to be here today and live in this country. So I just really appreciate the fact that you put this together and did all the research and identified next of kin or family members that could receive it. So it's quite an honor. Thank you.
Jeff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dave, thank you for putting this together. You try and live your life and contribute to the common good, but then you think about the people that have given everything, and it's very humbling. So I'd be honored to go to the ceremony. I think it's just a great thing that you're doing. It must have taken a lot of research to do this.
I worked with the records in Milford, the Armory, and Westover. There was a gal there, but it kind of there's still more that I know of that they didn't have any record of.
I would think going back there would be
Well, it's
even-
I mean, it's really difficult to try to put all the pieces together. One big problem is there was a big, massive fire in St. Louis, and a lot of the records were ruined. And so that becomes very difficult. But, and hopefully we can have another one, because I still know of at least 4 or 5 more that we could go, honor. But unless they were very strict. You had to have all the records in place, and you had to have a next of kin. That was.
Is this the first time you've done it here in town?
Oh, yeah, that's the first. It's a fairly new. I'm not sure exactly when, but it's a fairly new medal. Yeah.
Interesting. Good. Well, thank you again.
Okay.
Thank you.
And can you accept my RSVP here, or should I?
Yeah, that's
Send-
fine.
That's fine, okay.
And anyone who wants to speak, I'd like. I have to put an agenda together. So if anyone wants to say some words, they're more than welcome.
Excellent.
Okay. Thank you for letting me.
I think we have
Public
one
Yeah,
more person.
wait, don't go away yet.
Oh.
Don't go away yet. Actually, regarding the Medal of Liberty
Mhm.
ceremony, you actually answered the kind of 2 questions that I had.
Mhm.
That it is fairly new, which is sort
Yes.
of why we're doing this now, but that we can do it in the future should we
Oh,
get the
yeah.
records
Oh,
together to deal with
absolutely.
other people
Absolutely.
that we should.
Other towns have done it, and it's been well received by
I
town
imagine.
people, and that's what I'm hoping. You
Sure.
know, time passes and
Yeah.
memories pass, and we need to remember now.
You know, you hear stories around the country of veterans that pass away that are older and don't have family in the area wherever they are, and the public comes in and
Yeah.
supports the veteran at that time. And, I think there is a lot of community support for this kind of thing. So we certainly appreciate that. But it's also fortuitous that you're here now, because I think for the public to hear why they were giving money at the center of town this weekend, it's
Right.
nice to,
That's why I definitely wanted that.
I drive by and they say we're helping out local families, and that sounds great, but to hear a little bit more background about exactly what that is and,
Right.
and where the money's going is just good timing
Yeah.
to have you here to explain that to us. So,
Okay.
so thank you very much,
Okay.
and as always, we appreciate you having you here and for all the things that you.
And I thank you
for the town.
again for all what you guys are supporting us.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Dave. Nothing there. Next up is our MRA update with Alex. Alex doesn't need a lot of, well, I guess we have some new members here, but.
I know, yeah. A couple new faces, right?
But-
So, good evening. My name is Alex Rogozensky. So, my wife and I own MRA Multisport. We live in Northbridge. And we've been had the pleasure of using Marion's Camp started with our triathlon club, and we've expanded into some races over the years. So, I think this was, check the right math here. This is our 8th year is coming up next year, right? So 7 years so far, right? So, definitely come a long way.
I'm getting old, man.
Tell me about that, Dave. Right? Yeah, so we usually come in here twice a year, right, and kind of give a quick update. Spring and fall. So, I'd like to give a quick recap for how we did this year. So in 2019, we had just under 200 total participants, which was similar numbers to 2018, right? So last year. From a support point of view, just like to have a big thanks out to the Sutton Police and Fire, Millbury Police, the town of Sutton itself, the Sutton Youth Soccer for letting us use the parking fields up there, as well as the First Congregational Church. And this year, Massachusetts Environmental Police were actually there, right? So it's one of the requirements that we always have to get a license from them, because the body of water is actually under their jurisdiction. And schedule-wise, right, they aren't always able to show up and lend a hand, right? So this year they were. So it's good to have those guys around. Uneventful, of course. Every year with some of the proceeds from the race, right, we make a donation to the Sutton Food Pantry. So it was just about $600 this year to the Sutton Food Pantry, and then also a donation to the town, just under $1,000. That's on top of that's just from the race itself. So the club also has a donation or a fee for $250 each year. That's for our club members to use the training down at the lake from roughly May, September timeframe, whenever the water thaws out to whenever it gets too cold or too dark, right? So it's been a great season, right? And so definitely appreciate. I can't believe it's been that long already, right? So, but it's good. We definitely have some consistent faces over the years within the club and the races, but there's always new people looking for new challenges as well. So
Terrific. Thank you. Good.
Yeah,
Just,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Alex, welcome back.
thanks.
What can I say? You are definitely a wonderful town partner. You won't run a clean event, and I know, in particular, that if there were any issues, there would be one gentleman sitting in the audience. But I know in all the years that John was on the board, he praised your organization for not only the fact that you were good partners to the community, but that you were good stewards of Marion's Camp, which obviously has a special place in his heart. So I'm sure he's watching at home, so I'll extend a thank you to you from him. I do have one question, though. Did you have any issues with the camp at all in terms of the training sessions when you use it in the off hours?
Not that I'm aware of. No, I think I know this year there's a lot of construction going on with the new lodge down there.
Yep.
So in the past, we had the responsibility for kind of locking and unlocking the gates in the morning. This year, the gates were open for the most part, right? Just mostly for the construction workers that were there. So I think a couple of times, there were some people that were there, not with the club, but there kind of after the fact, right? So I know, Tammy in the recreation department, we had a couple of conversations just to make sure, right? And so, so I think that was probably the only one, difference this year than years past was just, I think we still had the expectation of locking it up, but sometimes, we were almost policing it, right? Because it was open more often, and we felt like we were trying to sometimes kick some people out, right? That even though when we're done swimming at the end of the night, people are still hanging out at the beach, right? Whether it's, small family or things like that. So, I think that was really, I wouldn't call it a problem. I think that was just the only real difference that we've had in prior years.
Perfect, excellent. And in terms of the race itself, anything different this year that kind of stood out, or?
No, nothing. It's still a strong local race, right? So it's the only Friday night evening race around. We have from Uxbridge, the first night group come in, do the catering for that, so everyone loves it. It's a smaller race, right? Just the size of the venue there, we just can't have that many people, and definitely limited with parking. Being away from the venue, right? So we use the church and the soccer fields for parking there. So it's by design, it's a smaller race, right? So we're fine with that. We definitely would like a little bit more numbers, right? Just would love to say we're sold out on June 1st and kind of lock and loaded, but people play the weather games. A lot of different choices out there now, right?
Yep.
So it's more of a fun event. So we've added a couple of categories over the years. A newer one is aquathlon is the official term.
Aquathlon?
Aquathlon.
Okay.
Right, so it's just the swimming and the running portion of the race.
All right.
There's no biking, right? And so we've had probably about 10 or so people that participated in that event this year, and they get points from USA Triathlon, who's the national sanctioning body. So every participant gets points, but there's not many races that offer the swim-run option. So we had people from Cape Cod coming in, and we had one guy from Arizona, right? He's kind of lives in New England, but he goes to school in Arizona. And he came back just for the race, so because he knows he can get points, and so he can be a nationally ranked aquathlete, right? From that point. So that was a lot of everyone has had a great time of the race, but they kind of expect the triathlon piece of it. So having the newfound appreciation from those swim runners, right, has been a nice surprise, I guess, right? So.
Well, it's great to hear. Obviously, we'll have questions when you come back in the spring, but we'll let winter pass so that way we can look to the sun as it looms ever closer on the right side of the calendar. That's all I have. Thank you.
thank you. Wendy?
Just a quick note, I just want to thank you. Every year, it seems the event goes off seamlessly. Maybe not from your perspective, but from an outside perspective. And the safety issues are addressed every year, and I just think it's wonderful, and I think it really adds to the community.
Great, thanks.
So thank you so much.
Jonathan?
Thank you. I just want to play off of what Wendy and Jesse said, just as far as this is a great community event. I think these are the type of things that make a town alive, to have multiple things going on, and I just really appreciate that you hold this here in Sutton, and that this is an event that's been going on for a while, and in your management of it, just from the sounds of it, you manage it really well. So just really appreciate that, and
Good.
thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't really have a lot to add from what my colleagues have said. Outside of, I was aware that the event went off pretty smoothly this year, but I don't remember how the weather was.
It was, I think it was rainy earlier, before the race itself.
Wasn't the year before rain?
Yeah, we've had some rainy races, but this one, it kind of get rained like maybe during the day earlier, and then
Yeah.
kind of cleared up in time just for the race,
Yeah,
right?
good.
So,
Nice.
All right.
Perfect.
yeah, it's very
Well,
fitting
the
for
nice
the
part is
solstice.
you'll have Goddard Lodge next year to,
Yeah, that's
hold
that's
your,
that's the hope,
final
right? So
order.
I know I was definitely peeking in the windows
Right.
over the summer, so it looks amazing inside, right? So yes, we'd love to, be able to use that. Whether it's usually we have the tents down there that
Yeah.
people will check in and things like that. So we'd love to have that use of the facility. If it is raining, right, to
Yeah.
have a little more shelter down there. But just be able to show that off to other people that maybe aren't down here in town as often as they should be, right?
Thank you. Well, there really isn't a whole lot to add. I mean, when you mentioned 8 years, it was just bringing back memories of kind of how we started with this, and this is old news now that we went from a little bit of trepidation at the beginning to everything just running so smoothly year after year after year. It's just clockwork now, so we don't expect anything different, and we're happy that it continues to be a successful venue and a set of events for you. So clearly, after all these years, the morning things that you do must be working out well for your members, and I think as you've heard from this body, it works out well for us too. So the donations that get made around town are really appreciated, and I think that the bringing people to town and just increasing the exposure of our community to the outside is what makes us a community. So we welcome the presence and continue to say thank you for all the good things that you do.
Excellent. And as we do every year, right? So June 19th next year, there's still a couple of slots that are open for maybe a relay team here, right?
So 5 of us for 3 events, is that what it is?
However you guys want to make it
Big
work
relay
out.
team.
However you guys want to make it work out.
This is
right?
just for the board, not for us.
How deep is the water?
It's not the depth, it's the temperature.
No, it's the depth.
Still cold in June.
The
Well,
water
thank
wings,
you.
the
No
swings.
problem. Thank you guys.
Thanks for
Thanks,
coming in,
guys.
we
Thanks,
appreciate that.
Great
and
holidays.
We will see you in the spring. All right, next up on our agenda are our 2020 license renewals, and I think we'll start by inviting the clerk to read all of them into the record.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The following licenses have been renewed for 2020. Class 2, Beck's, Brian's Auto Service, Brown Automotive, Frank's Auto Sales, Hampton Motor Sales, Byrider, Lappin's Auto, P.T. Watts, Inc., Progressive Auto, Vinnie's Automotive, Sutton Auto, LLC, 122 Worcester Providence Turnpike, LLC, a.k.a. John's Automotive. Class 3, Scott Cars Auto Shack. Catering license, 3D's Catering. Lodging House, Putnam Hill Bed and Breakfast. Common Vittler, Essex Golf Group, DBA Blackstone National Golf Club. Brickstone Kitchen, Crossroads Variety, Dudley Gendron American Legion Post, number 414. Dunkin' Donuts, Inside Extramart. Five Guys Hamburgers. King's Campground Country Store. KP's Breakfast and Lunch. Market 32, Starbucks inside of Market 32. Nick's Country Market. Old Holbrook Place. Peking Garden. PV Food and Beverage. Schultz's Place. Starbucks Corporation. Sutton Center Country Store. Sutton Falls Camping Area. Sutton Extramart, locations at 27 and 157 Worcester Providence Turnpike. Amusement Devices, Sutton Falls Campground. Dudley Gendron American Legion Post, 414, the jukebox. All alcohol liquor license, restaurants. Brickstone Kitchen, Dudley Gendron American Legion Post, 414. Essex Golf Group, DBA Blackstone National Golf Club. PV Food and Beverage. all alcohol liquor license, package stores. Crossroads Variety, Market 32. Wine and malt beverage liquor licenses, retail. King's Campground, Nick's Country Market, Sutton Center Country Store, Valancourt Folk Art, Music and Dance, Dudley Gendron American Legion Post 414, PV Food and Beverage, Entertainment by DJ, Seasonal, Essex Golf Group, DBA, Blackstone National Golf Club, King's Campground.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Anytime.
And would you like to make some comments? I know you just did a lot of reading, but.
Well, I'm very excited to see that there's some new names on the list, and of course, it's always good to see all the returning businesses in town because as many residents always clamor for, the need to have businesses. Well, these are the small businesses, mom and pop establishments. So hopefully our residents are supportive of these enterprises so that way we can always keep the door open in Sutton.
Excellent. Wendy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just briefly, again, I'm glad to see the renewal of so many licenses. I think it's important for our community to have different services available, and it certainly does not hurt with the tax dollars. So I'm just really happy to see it, and good job with all those, Jess.
Jonathan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think as I go through the list, there's quite a few, and I think people don't realize how many businesses are tucked into all these little different buildings, and I just encourage people to see the list and frequent these businesses because these are really the lifeblood of small businesses in our community.
Thank you. Jeff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just reiterate what Jonathan said, and shopping local, I think, is the way to go to help out these businesses. So if we can do that, that'd be great.
And if people were listening carefully to the list, they may have recognized that a couple of names might not have been on the list because we've had a few people come before us in recent weeks where some of these renewals were actually done earlier, so they didn't make this list. And also, thanks to everybody that is on the list because that means that they've gotten all their paperwork back and processed, and it's over with. And it's been some times in the past where we had to do some chasing, and so although it's work for Deb, and we thank you for that, everybody's done and finished up. So, and I would like to echo what everybody else on the board has said, but support your local business is a good thing to do. And so I think we need to have a motion to accept these.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me, I would like to make a motion to approve as read the 2020 license renewals in the town of Sutton.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Time for the town manager's update. Jim?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a few updates this week. The Blackstone Street sewer break, I talked about that, I think, at the last meeting. There was a break, a sewer line break at Blackstone Street as the line was heading up to the Millbury Pump Station. It cost us a little over $15,000 to repair that. Our sewer clerk, Darlene Tabarge, did a nice job with an Excel spreadsheet, put all the numbers together. I have had discussions with Mass DOT, and they've agreed to cover the cost for the work that was done. And they were appreciative of all the donations that we received from Millbury for the equipment and so forth. What we are in discussions as well is the permanent repair that will take place probably in the springtime. Right now, we've got a collar on the pipe, and it's a transite pipe, which is asbestos. We've got to remove that and have it environmentally disposed of, which is a little bit on the expensive side. So we're working out the details. We're in conversations. I've sent some communications to Mass DOT, and hopefully we hear back from them shortly on that. Lackey Dam Road, McGuire Road paving. Lynch has completed the paving for those roads. They've also completed Hutchinson, a part of Hartness Road. So they really did a lot within a 2-week period of time. They were working on Saturdays. They worked hard. So now they have to do the detail work. Additional drainage on Central Turnpike, tying in the driveways into the road, smoothing that out. There are some transitions that will need to take place, and hopefully that gets done during the next couple weeks. It's a little tricky with the snow on the ground. Hopefully that they still have that opportunity to get to that. The senior center did a nice job. The Mike Chizzy Food Pantry and all the donations that came in, they were able to serve 30 families a Thanksgiving dinner. I went down and saw grocery carts filled with food. For one family, they got a full grocery cart with 2 pies, a turkey, green bean casserole, all the different, parts to make a very healthy Thanksgiving dinner. And I'd like to thank the community that participated in this, and particularly the senior center that pulled this off. A nice job. And reminder that the Christmas luncheon is Tuesday, December 17th. And that's all I have for updates. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, appreciate it. Jesse?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jim, thank you for the updates. Excellent. Thank you for all the effort that you put in. I mean, obviously with the sewerage leakage, breakage, however we want to phrase it,
Yeah.
That was not expected. Obviously, we're appreciative of the strong bond that we have with Millbury, and we thank them for lending us a hand. But ultimately, we have to give thanks to you, because I'm sure you put a lot of time into this. And the fact that Mass DOT is willing to, lend a hand as well. Hopefully, when it's all resolved in the spring, we'll come to a good conclusion.
Yeah, thank you.
I do have one question in regards to the paving.
Sure.
Is finishing up the last little details, the tie-ins, the cuts, and all the rest, is that dependent on their asphalt plant being operational?
Well, yes. They will need, a plant to be open. They typically don't close the plant until late December. So, the positive is Lynch has their own asphalt plant, so it's right up the street, and they tend to keep it open pretty late into the year. So, I'm hoping with the snow melts and we have an opportunity. If that doesn't happen, then we'll have to wait till spring to tie them in.
Looking ahead, it's our long-range forecast, it is supposed to warm up again.
It is this weekend.
So hopefully the snow will go away quickly, at least enough for them to finish this, because I'm sure the residents who've been impacted by this construction would like to have it concluded as
that'd be nice.
quickly as possible. Also, I don't know if you mentioned it, but there was also a little stretch down on Providence Road as well.
That's correct.
And that's key, because to me, that was the welcome mat coming into town, and it was in such poor shape. So, having that there, we can give our friend Mary Krumzik, look, our welcoming mat to Sutton is a little better than the Millbury side. Finally.
Well, good.
Yeah. And of course, huge thanks to Michelle and Diane and Michelle and Clark and Tim and all the seniors who volunteer, keeping the Mike Chizzy Food Pantry not only in operation, but what a wonderful service that they provide, particularly during the holiday season. And of course, we also have to thank everyone in the community, because as Michelle will tell you if you ever ask her, it's the residents that keep the pantry open for the residents. So just wonderful. It was wonderful. Great pictures, wonderful. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Wendy?
Thank you. Jim, just one quick question, because I just want to reiterate for the public. Mass DOT is going to reimburse us for the $15,000 that has already been spent.
Yeah, a lot of it is our salaries, and the town of Millbury put the salaries with their budget, and the town of Sutton Highway and Sewer Department put their salaries as part of their budget. But we want to be reimbursed for those expenses, and then we can replenish our budgets, respective budgets, which the state has agreed to do.
That's fantastic. Thank you for your efforts.
Sure.
And just to reiterate what Jesse said, the senior center is amazing.
Yeah.
I really am touched to see the Mike Chizzy Fund going forward. obviously a wonderful honor. And, the pictures were just overwhelming
Yeah.
of the gifts, and I'm so happy for the families that receive them, because it's a tough time of year when you hear about everyone else's feast and don't have the opportunity to have your own.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Sure.
And that's all I have.
Thank you. Jonathan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jim, thanks for your efforts on the sewer break. Definitely happy to hear that they're willing to reimburse us for the repairs, and then you're kind of working through how to fix it permanently in the spring, so that's really great news. Definitely have experienced some of these paving. I go get grain through the Lackey Dam, McGuire Road area, and that road was absolutely horrible. And I happened to notice before I saw the agenda item, because I drove on, I was like, this is nice.
Yeah.
It was, and even kind of went down some of the side streets as
We
well.
did, a
Yeah.
little bit.
So big difference, and it's a stretch that you're in one town, then Sutton, then another town, so
Right.
it's, our stretch was
And
pretty bad.
Uxbridge actually did a lot of that work, and then you come in, across this town line and you run into Sutton's
a
roads.
little
And,
stretch.
it was embarrassing.
It
So
was.
similar to the welcome mat.
Yeah. So definitely, that was great to see. And again, with the food pantry, just the amount of volunteer effort that goes into it, and both at the senior center and, other organizations putting together these baskets to the people in need, is just a really wonderful effort. And to have 30 families receive this is just wonderful. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Jeff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Jim. I really don't have anything to add that my very eloquent colleagues haven't already put out there, so I won't belabor that, but thanks for the update.
One item though, on the sewer break, Don Obachowski did a great job taking photos throughout. He gave me a zip drive of all the photos from the initial break. One of the DOT contractors digging adjacent to a sign that was just installed, and continuing all the way through completion of the project. So you get to see, and I was able to forward those pictures to DOT, kind of told the story for us without having to put anything in writing. So
Yeah, I would agree. Thanks to all the people that were involved in that, including, of course, Millbury. It seemed like maybe Mass DOT was positioning themselves at the beginning to kind of defend, but regardless, we appreciate that they're
Yeah.
kind of stepping up and doing the right thing. So, in sort of a weird twist, I think I've driven on every area that's been paved since it was paved. And there's a lot of those places I wouldn't normally be, but for one reason or another, I was over there. So, and I know there's still some work to do to get it all cleaned up, but I think it's kind of hard to argue that the improvements that exist already, if it turns out we can't get that done until the spring, it's great to have the work done. So I was, honestly, had really thought we probably wouldn't be able to get the rest of those areas paved this year. So they got a lot done in a short period of time. So that was good. It was interesting having Dave here talking about their own food drive and being able to serve some families, and then to see 30 families were served out of the Mike Chizzy Food Pantry. I'm hearing Mike speak as we talk about this, and he would always remind us that although maybe the food pantry itself was in the senior center, that most of the time the food that the families that are served are typically young families, and certainly not seniors often, and this seems to be evident of that, and so it's a time of Thanksgiving, and it's nice to be able to help those in need. So we've already said it, but kudos to the community for stepping up and doing that. So that's all I have. So now announcements, roundtable, business topics.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First and foremost, I think I let it slide, but I know you alluded to it, but I just want to do it before we get too far. I'd like to thank Debbie for all the work that she does with the licensing, having to interact with all the businesses and kind of stay on top of them. I'm sure that's a very difficult process. particularly, I know in years past, there have been towns, businesses rather, that have dragged their feet. So thank you, Debbie, for all that you do. All right. Also, I'd like, again, just to reiterate, as Dave's comments earlier, in terms of how thankful that the Post is, the Dudley General is, in terms of the generosity of the community. Again, $2,300, the point that he made that I have in my notes, was the fact that that was a record. We've never raised as much. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you. And speaking of thank you, I have to thank the St. Mark's community. This past weekend, I did the monthly delivery down to the Mike Chizzy Food Pantry. And I'll be honest with you, I was thinking it's the Sunday after Thanksgiving, and maybe the donations would dip a little bit. But once again, the whole bed of my truck was full, the interior of my truck was full, and thankfully my wife was there because we had a little overflow. So just the generosity of our residents just cannot be questioned. But even though I hate to ask, remember Christmas is coming up. And while I do not have a list from Michelle because the senior center was closed for the last 2 days because of the snow, just remember, we have another holiday coming. So if you can do your shopping and think of the extra snacks and sides, I'm sure they'll definitely appreciate it. Lastly, I'd like to thank the highway. Obviously, we had a snowstorm that lasted for a good part of 2 days. And while they're not out there nonstop, the guys, the crew, they put a lot of work in to the last 48 hours. So thanks, Matt, to Matt Stencil and all the members of the highway who are out there keeping the roads open and safe for all the residents. That's all I have.
Thank you. Wendy?
Thank you. No food pantry list tonight?
No, they were closed. They were closed.
I don't really have anything to add other than my thanks to the community for so many efforts that everyone is involved in. So thank you very much.
Jonathan?
I have no updates, thanks.
Jeff?
I have no updates either.
So Jesse, I was going to say the same thing about the storm, and then the highway crew is a long duration storm, so it's just a lot to deal with, and so kudos and thanks to them. And Channel Lights this weekend, is that right?
That's
Yes,
correct.
Saturday.
So hopefully everyone gets out to enjoy that. I haven't really seen the weather, so I don't really know what it's supposed to be.
Clear and cold.
Yeah, all right. I'll take clear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cold is kind of expected. So, but last year in particular, I thought that it seemed to be really well run. There was some vitality to it, and I expect the same thing this year. So I look forward to a great day. And that's all I have. So,
Mr. Chairman, could I make a motion to adjourn?
that's a good call.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.